Oh, hello there. Do you like yoghurt? Do you like geese? Well, you're gonna bloody love Maxi Geese fromage.
Oh my
Made...
God.
Go on.
Yeah.
No,
No,
you
I've
go
heard
on.
about this. You don't need to tell me what. I've heard about this. This is the maximum amount of goose that you can fit inside your fromage, innit?
Yes, and now for a limited time only, you can get 90% less geese but more goose in your Maxi Goose yogurt.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's it. Because my Freddy is allergic to plurals. He can't handle them. Gives him the shits, gives him the runs. I mean, we went on holiday to like Casperia Prime once,
Oh,
and
I
he was.
love Casperia
Oh,
Prime.
it was so nice. It was lovely. There was like five suns or something. I don't know. Haven't checked the wiki, but yeah, he had that, and he had Maxi Geese shat everywhere. Absolute bloody nightmare it was. Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that because you said Captain Goodwill. It looks like the bloody Kennedy assassination in his bathroom. I'm telling
Oh
you,
my
it was
God.
all
He
over.
wasn't going back into the left. He was going back and everywhere. It was,
Oh
oh
my
my
God,
God.
he was like a defective
Fromage
sprinkler.
everywhere.
Like a
Yeah.
defective sprinkler. Anyway,
Nightmare.
space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Adequate. Our ongoing mission until we are cancelled and replaced by something far superior. To review every episode and movie of Star Trek in existence. To seek out new guests. Oh, and make them very uncomfortable. To boldly go where many other Star Trek-based YouTube shows, past, present, and future, have gone before. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Treks and Trekkers throughout this planet. I am your host, Captain Goodwill, and this is Trekking Up North. And joining me, as ever, is the delectable Geesian from the planet. Science Officer Synoiz!
Oh, hello
Omelette du
there.
fromage! Omelette du
Oh.
fromage! Will you be
Omelette
sampling
du
Maxi Goose?
fromage.
Will you be sampling
Are
Maxi
we?
Goose?
It's the reason why we've just gone weird about fromage is because Sammy's mincing about in Paris. She's bigging it up in Gay
Have
Paris.
they finally deported her?
We're waiting for a Sammy hangry incident. We're waiting for Sammy to get so hangry that she causes a national incident in France.
Oh, that it's going to be like the start of Raiders, where we just see Sammy running over a hill. And start the plane! He's just sat there like fishing, and he's just like a horde of French people waving baguettes and swearing in French. She's like, I only said it's shit, Canada! And
After she lamps someone for opening a box in a comic store. What? Just here, let me show you what it looks like inside.
Le Jaja!
It was at this moment when he knew he'd fucked up.
The Phantom Menace is widely regarded as the worst of Star Wars. And she was never allowed back. Yeah, she was never allowed back again.
Why do I like the idea of a hyper-violent Sammy? There's something that inherently that isn't Sammy about it, and that makes it funnier.
I think
idea that
very much like Kingsman, something needs to be triggered in her head. And then as soon as Freebird plays, she just immediately just starts beating up French people left and right.
Hang on, are we suggesting that she's like Manchurian Candidate? Is she? Is that what? Okay, chat.
No, she's a
What is
Macam
the
candidate.
word? What is the word that would set off like Sammy into a sort of blind killing rage?
I mean, it could be worse. It could be worse, and I'm
We'll
saying
try
this.
him on the next Monsters.
I'm saying this purely because of Crimson. It could be the Mancurian candidate. You're twisting me melon, man. And you know, but hi Crimson. Hello to everybody in the chat. We've got Sarah Peaches, we've got the cult leader Paul himself, we've got Beth, we've got David Hope, we've got Captain's Quadrant. Joy's alive! He has recovered from his American enhancement treatment where he replaced his colon with a bald eagle. He drinks nothing but oil and everything is in freedom units. I don't know where I was going from that. And then
I mean, I'm still laughing at your bloody Twitch stream on, was it Wednesday? It was the funniest thing. Like You just being in character as Truckwill for like a solid like 2 hours or something, and it was just the shit you come out with is just the funniest thing.
I will
absolutely
have
adored it.
to. I will have to though. We need to play. We need to Scotty with the bagpipes because we need to send my 11-year-old Xbox One controller down the torpedo tube of the
No.
adequate and retire
Is
it
it
because
that
it started.
bad? I
Like,
know it's drifting slightly, but is it not?
it started like the steering started to go and then the right trigger started to go. So I was driving to the left whilst looking down at my crotch, and it was
Isn't that
sort
just
of like.
accurate though? Isn't that the American trucker experience?
No, that was me driving home from London. I was just like, I love the hard shoulder. Ooh, something else is hard. But yeah, so I've had to retire my controller after 11 years. Who else have we got in the chat right here? We've got David from Nice, France. Hello, my favourite background actor. David, you will see David next month in The Boys Season 4.
Oh, I love The Boys. Oh, well done you, David, on getting into The Boys.
I love the Synoiz loves The Boys.
Oh, I love The Boys.
I love Billy
I'm
Butcher. Oh, I wish he'd butcher me. Oh,
I like David. He's very butch.
but it's Billy Butcher, Jensen Ackles, right? And Dave and Dean. What's his name? He was Negan in Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Oh my God.
That wasn't what I was going for. Yeah, there we go. Okay. You know when you're like, oh yeah, I know this one. Oh, I didn't. I really didn't.
Oh
Good.
my God, this is like the best BLT I've ever fucking seen. Hello.
Wait, what's BLT again? Is that how we describe Lee now?
Bacon, lettuce, and David. The don't look at me like that. Hi, Lee. Hello, Lee. We've got someone called Synoiz in the chat. I don't know. It sounds like a communist. Who else have we got? We've got everyone in the chat. The family is all here. Hi, everybody. Shall I see if Mark Cartier's here? I'll find you, Mark.
You've been sneaking around.
I'll find you, Mark. No, he's
Where
not there.
is Mark today?
He's in a toilet in Walgreens. The no, it has been. The Darby Wheel was a good choice last week. We were
Wasn't really a choice. It's a kind of regular thing, but you know,
it was the choice. The right. First of all, shut up. The crimson bread, lettuce, tomatoes. You kinky son of a Mancurian.
tomato.
Tomato. Is it tomato, or as I like to call them, a lie? David Hope. Yeah, I'm common English, Dave or Hopi. Damon is nice, David. He's not nice, David. He's the David.
Well, I love it that I think it was in the Discord. Lee was kind of just being like, how do you paint post that much? Like David Hope is a machine. Like for just the amount he can post on the Nerdy Up North. Like
I have community. Everybody on Facebook.
Yeah. Follow us on Facebook on the Nerdy Up North community group. It is just insane. Like the amount of memes. Like I think if you cut David open, I think memes come out. That's basically what happens.
I would be worried if I was David's supervisor because clearly no production is being made.
Well, what does David? You're in the chat.
I tell you exactly what he does.
Like
what he does for a job is post on the Nerdy Up North community. That's what David does, and occasionally hell divers, or as I like to call it, hell davers. So
I just, what job can you have that allows you to post that many memes? Is it like, are there literally just people dying in a ward behind them, and David's just like, hang on.
Why is he in a hospital? I
don't know what he does. That's why I'm asking. He bleeds
the state of the NHS is so bad that the top contributor to Nerdy Up North is sat on his phone all the time.
I just love it because I was just literally like I actually had
never mind. Breaking news: he works in wealth management. Fuck the toilets.
Okay, no,
continue,
okay, right. Fair enough,
continue posting.
No wonder you're not doing anything, right?
Eat the rich.
Wealth management. I'm the person who's meant to be taxing the Tories.
Can you manage? Can you manage my wealth? Because at the moment I don't really have any.
I think you have to have some to manage it, Goodwill. But
listen, I've got 5 pence right in front of me. No, yes.
but it is like, I forgot where I was going with it. But yeah, it is like I was just laughing at it because I had time to actually just be sitting on my phone like last night. And I was just going through the Nerdy Up North thing, and I was like, "Oh, there's a funny meme, laugh react. Oh, there's a funny meme, laugh react." And I was like, "They're all from the same person." There was literally just like 13 of them in a row, and I was like, "You must get up very early to do this."
He is going to start the English-American War again because pretty soon Gabe is going to rock up in a naval vessel and just broadside Sunderland because of David. I think that's what's going to happen.
I mean, it would improve the place.
I mean, some might call it an upgrade.
I mean, it's like Birmingham, where technically being
God,
a
not
nuclear
Birmingham
test site would improve it. But
speaking of depressing hellholes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen.
we will be in the suicide capital of the UK in a couple of months.
First it was Peter Kay.
We need to bump up those numbers.
We need to get those numbers. July the 28th, 2024, at Norbreck Castle Hotel in Blackpool, by the sea, I would say. I don't think you could technically call it a sea anymore. We will be hosting Trekking Up North live from Destination, the unofficial Star Trek fan convention. If you would like to get your tickets to this tremendous event where there are some delectable guests, shall I tell you what guests there are? Science Officer Synoiz.
Yes, but through song.
We have Armin Shimmerman, he was quacking DS9. Robert Duncan McNeil, he was Paris in Voyager. And a salamander who fucked Janeway. Tim Russ, he was the best Vulcan ever. Connor Trinier, I've got better frosted tips than him. Cyril Clofton was Ben Sisko's son in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Andrew Robinson was the best Cardassian ever. Robert O'Reilly was General Garon. Glory to you and your podcast. Virginia Aldridge, Judy Chevron, and Steve Hershon from the original series. There will be also exclusive panels, autograph signings, professional photo shoots, cosplays, exhibitors, and of course Trekking Up North. And the occasional party. Trekking Up North.
Well done for something that I just sprang on you. That's brilliant.
In the live chat, everybody, you will see a link to destinationevents.com. Get your tickets and get them quickly because Paul is buying them all with his squandered Nerdy Up North money lying in his Cayman account. He makes thousands, don't you know, according to people. But people think thousands is £29.33 a month.
I love it. I love it though. Where what is it? The last meetup, Paul bought us pizza, and he's like, "That's all the profits. That's all of them." And it's
like me in the throes of lovemaking,
making a fortune. He's
like me in the throes of lovemaking. I offer a slice of pepperoni and go, "That is it." So anyway,
you're getting, but I know.
Speaking of coming up short,
I love how I'm just going. These are probably secrets, but I've got a big mouth. I've got a big mouth, Lee. Just putting it out there. If only you would. I'm very pleased that someone in the chat has said that it's Crimson has said it's Norbreck Castle, and I'm like, I totally misheard it as Norbreck, and I was just like,
Crimson. Crimson, for people like me and Middlesbrough, when people say no break, it means you've got no breakfast. What's for breakfast? Got no break.
Oh no, I've got a pan au chocolat and half a cup of tea.
A pan au chocolat? You fucking...
A pan au chocolat.
You fucking Remainer. Anyway, speaking of Ramonas, we have got an incoming transmission, everybody.
Oh no.
Incoming transmission.
Oh, hello there. I'm the Velvet Snatch. So much happened on Media Day. The only way I can fit it all in is through the magic of song. Here we go. On day one, I got to Rannoch with a lift and wrecked the prickly dumplings at the castle and decided to explore Rannoch, going to a restaurant and eating food with Mr. Gaze, followed by a pub crawl and a spot of the old karaoke's. On day 2 I had some coffee and began to paint my face. The face cream I was using made my foundation fall out of place. I panicked in a bathroom but I got the job done in the end, but made us late by walking to the gardens with a newfound friend.
Hypodermic is bouncing on her ball.
We got to meet the winners and we saw the schedule for the day. Me and Bella got to wave a flag in front of Mr. Gay. There were interviews with lots of people, vegetable and mineral, where we all got to come across as charming and political. In the break I organised a photo shoot with all the gays to advertise my merchandise, with which I'm hoping to fundraise. The shop's not ready at the time I'm sitting down to write the song, but register your interest at my site thevelvetsnatch.com. In part 2 we learned our runway orders and showed off sort of. The choreo confused me but I got some help from Bonnie Love. After that was photo shoots and posing on an old park bench, then escaping inside as the rain came and we all got drenched. So there's a speedy rundown of my time spent at the media day. I'll see you at the finals of Mixed Dragon. Of course, Mr. Gay, please vote for me and buy my stuff. Hopefully we will raise enough, but with these bitches in the running, it is going to be so tough. Please vote for me and buy my stuff. Hopefully we will raise enough, but with these bitches in the running, it is going to be so tough.
Tiny elephant on filing cabinet. I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming as soon as you sang that song in Mod Major General. I was like, you've had it on your mind. You've been listening to it. I have to apologize to everyone about my singing in that. I was so incredibly ill that week, and we had a deadline where we had to do the whole video. And I was like, here's my idea. I can't really sing at the moment because I've got no voice. So I did the best I could and then put it through like a, what's it called? Vocal corrector, which is where it distorts at certain bits. But yeah, I think it's all right, but it's just hopefully funny.
Everybody, there is a link in the description below, thevelvet//donate, right? But look down. No, not there. No, not there.
Oh.
There you go. Right, it's right there. Yeah. Yeah, don't. No. You're licking the Clone Star podcast. Stop
it. Tastes like cum.
In the description below, we have thevelvetsnatch.com/donate. We also have a donate link for Nina to jump out of a plane. And we are funding the ability for her to have a parachute when she does. So please donate to that as well.
Can we have a counter donation where we can donate money for her not to have a parachute? We just see which one wins.
Nina?
It's for charity.
Nina, I'm so sorry. However, she did pull on Tuesday.
Earlier in the week about with Jake, where Jake's like, aren't you meant to be chaotic? And I'm like, but sometimes I'm not. You know, and that's the chaos.
She did pull on Tuesday with cousin Truckwill, who promised to take her to the finest McDonald's restaurant and then the most reasonably priced motel, where he would give her the best night of her life. And no, not the sex. The Star Trek Voyager season 3.
Her the best, the
28 minutes of her life.
Yeah,
I didn't promise her. Cousin
28
Truckwill.
minutes of
Cousin
her life.
Truckwill promised her the best 28 minutes of her life. And then it turned out it wasn't going to be that. It was going to be the season 3 two-parter of Voyager Future's End, which, to be honest, I think is probably better. So we are here.
Yeah. But thank you so much for playing the video. Like I say, if you didn't understand that, I am a finalist in the Mixed Drag Great Britain 2024 competition. Link in the description below if you want to donate. I've been working very hard getting all the merchandise done. In the video, you got to see 2 bits of the merchandise, which is the handkerchiefs and the custom prints. There are only 20 sets of the custom prints, so they are crazy rare, which is quite good. Yeah, there's going to be ability to buy them later and stuff, but yes, message me if you're interested now, though, before the shop's done. And yeah, it was just really fun putting that together, and I had such a good time, but whoa, it was exhausting. We're talking about a 5 a.m. start, an 8 p.m. finish, and having to be happy and smiley all day was like tough. But yeah.
What's it like being happy?
What is happy?
How can
well, anyway, that ties into our episode because, like, wow, like you're saying,
speaking of love,
the dabble wheel provides, and it's after both of us having a crazy hectic week and a lot of nightmarish stuff happening, it was wonderful to sit and watch such an incredibly good episode of Trek. And such a beautiful episode of Trek, I'm willing to say.
It was nice not to be in a crowd of over 100 people being told, hey, we're actively working to make you redundant. So we are here to review Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
The only person I would wish that upon is Rishi Sunak. But
oh, give it a few months. Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 6, Episode 16, Change of Heart. I melted when this came onto the double wheel last week because I wanted a late series DS9 episode. I wanted a good episode with Quarkin, and I wanted a good just a good powerful message episode that's very blurred, is never black and white, and this delivers. So the synopsis of the episode is: on a mission to recover a Federation informant on the Dominion world of Sukara, Dax is injured and Worf must choose between completing his mission or saving her life. Meanwhile, O'Brien, that's Miles, enlists Bashir's help to defeat Quark in a game of Tongo, which we never really see Tongo that much. It's always been Dabo, but we never, like, Tongo is like Monopoly on steroids, I would say.
It's really odd because, like, I think I said this a while ago. I'm not sure if it was on the podcast or if it was just you generally, but it's the fact of Tongo is the game where I really want them to make it. And I know it doesn't make any sense. It's like
just capitalism.
Dabo kind of makes sense in the context of the show, where they've kind of said it's basically roulette, but with like some extra factors to it. But
yeah, it's like there's 3 wheels instead of 1, and then if all the images match up, that's a Dabo. And it's it's really interesting.
They have like thought it out, and the writers have basically said, hey, this is how this works. Tongo makes no sense, and they've made no attempt to make it an actual real game kind of thing.
Paramount,
but I would
what
love
are you
it
doing?
to exist.
What are you doing,
that's
Paramount?
We need someone to sit down and be like, hey, make this game, because I don't know, I love it. And this is probably the best Tongo episode, I think. There's about 5 of them in DS9, like episodes that have Tongo in them. But this is the one where you just go, this game looks really fun. I want to see what happens, you know?
It's, for me, and this is going to be a controversial opinion, but hear me out. I almost wish that someone like Disney, not Disney, but someone like Disney with the funds and the foresight to look at a franchise would take over Paramount, look at Star Trek as a viable, competitive franchise to Star Wars, and properly and officially merchandise Star Trek. Because if there is one thing that Trekkies love to do, as I stare at my literal wall of bankruptcy, is spend money on Star Trek stuff. And you think it's not just the figures, the props, the ships, or anything like that. It's the world within Star Trek. It's the Romulan ale, Chateau Picard, Cardassian
we need to get the Kanar.
We're going to get the Kanar. But it's like the games themselves. Like, they did this in the 90s with 3D chess, and it was a huge success. Because it is just chess with different layers. You could get a team of professional whatever game developers or anything like that and just hammer out a proper game of Tongo, hammer out a proper game of Dabo, and market the hell out of stuff like that. I would love it, right? If I could imagine, right, Synoiz, you go to STLV this year, right? And we're all there.
Oh, I keep forgetting that's a convention, not an STD. Sorry.
No. That's Star Trek Indianapolis STI.
Oh, I think I've had that. Sorry. Is there a cream?
There is, but just try not to itch. But imagine though the nights where you could have like game nights, Star Trek based game nights. So in one part you've got poker. So Star Trek plays poker, and then you've got Dabo. You've got Tongo. You've got 3D chess. You've got all these games.
You could have, you know, the random game where we have the Elorian who the Elorian, and he basically has that machine that like gives you luck, but it also messes up the station because it You know,
yes.
you could make those machines, but make it so that there was a dynamic to them. It wasn't just like random. You could make a casino. That could be a whole thing at Paramount Studios. Is a Star Trek casino, like a Quark's bar. It would be amazing.
The thing is, right, in 1998 to 2003 or 2008 in Las Vegas, there was a Star Trek experience with a Quark's Bar and Grill. I know this.
Oh, really?
Because this is the bottle opener from Quark's Bar and Grill. Let me just get it right. Quark's Bar and Restaurant in Las Vegas, 2001. This, and in it are latinum strips. So when you open your bottle, they all move about like that, right? So this is my bottle opener. This is my official bottle opener.
I want this stuff. Why does this stuff not exist anymore?
I don't. There was a talk of a Star Trek theme park. Okay, this was in like 2009. I don't know what's going on with it, but you don't have to have a theme park. Paramount still has the bridge set for the D. You could have a museum. You could have a themed promenade with shops, with a Quark's restaurant, with the Klingon restaurant, with the cafe, with the Replimat, sorry. Garak's Tailors with Star Trek clothing, apparel in it. Yeah, that Lee's just said there. Paramount, marketing, merchandise. I know. This uniform, right? This uniform is an unofficial uniform because there is no official uniform shop.
Yeah,
there is a few.
People would buy them if they did a Garak's tailors online, and then they basically just had all the uniforms available to buy, and they went, "Hey, cool! Here's custom DS9 ones. Here's late season Voyager ones. Here's." You know, it would sell like hotcakes, but they're just like, let's not have much.
But here's the funny thing, right? Here is the funny thing. There is a shop in, of all places, Ohio, called the Federation Trading Post, right? Honestly, guys, Google this. Crimson will probably know this, and David will probably know this. It sells Star Trek cosplay uniforms, alien outfits, Starfleet outfits throughout the ages, civilian outfits. It is in a mall in, I'm pretty sure it's Ohio, but they sell all this. And apparently people are making pilgrimages to this store because it is a Star Trek store. And it's insane. Like, I remember my grandmother when she first went to San Diego. And she actually went to a payphone. This is 1995. She actually went to a payphone, right? Phoned home and went, "You are not going to believe this. There is a dedicated Star Trek shop in San Diego." And I was like,
crazy.
It blew my mind. Do you know what I mean? And now you look at now with Star Wars and Disney, and there's like it's all incorporated in the stores, but then they've got loads of merchandise all over the place, and they just exploit the hell. And it's just like the money that they could make from the merchandise alone could fund an entire series just from that. And they don't do anything; they just sit on it, and it's like, guys. Why?
There's no saving them. We have to see that if anyone actually buys them, that they respect the potential more, you know?
Crimson has just said there's supposed to be a Paramount theme park under review in London, but there's also a Universal one that's going to be developed near London as well. So if they do both, I would definitely go to that. I would absolutely do for that. I did love Universal.
Very spicy.
Very spicy. Let's get back to the episode, though, because they are playing Tongo. Anyway, so, yeah, I love the fact that Miles and Worf made a bet, and they both lost and won subsequently as well.
I thought the beginning... the thing is, the beginning of the episode is brilliant because, like, we get to see, like, this wonderful relationship that Quark and Jadzia have, which is basically, like, Quark is a criminal, effectively. He's a... What do you call them? He's dodgy. Then Jadzia just kind of gets on with him.
He's a raconteur. Yeah.
But Jadzia is the only person who actually is friends with Quark. Like, you know,
Yeah.
even Odo, like they joke about them being friends, but they're just not at all. But like Jadzia genuinely is Quark's friend.
Yeah.
And it's just wonderful to see. And it's wonderful to see how good she is and how endearing the relationship with her and Worf is. Because essentially, this episode is a Worf and Jadzia episode. And it's
Yeah.
a beautiful episode about their love. They've just got married in about 2 episodes previously, I think.
No, it was they'd been married for 2 months. And I
Right.
think it was a few episodes. I do think it was a few episodes back, but it was in season 6 that I believe they
Yeah.
got married. What's beautiful about this, and we'll get a little bit of backstory. Worf has always been very. We joke about Worf all the time. He is very stoic. He is very of honor. He is very.
He is not a merry man.
He's, sir, I object. I am not a merry man. He is very stoic. He's very standoffish. He's very locked away emotionally when it comes to everyone. We learn this all the way through the Next Generation. He forgets quite regularly that he does have a son. And Jadzia... Jadzia...
I've always wanted kids. Don't you have one?
Oh, you're like the son I never had. Whilst Alexander is right behind him. Taking a mud bath with Loxana.
Why do you forget me, father?
Why is a 10-year-old bathing with a 53-year-old? Never mind, son.
We just needed to do something in this episode that doesn't mess everyone around.
But with Jadzia, Jadzia has got Jadzia's personality with, God, how many lifetimes? 8 lifetimes worth of experience, and Curzon's love of the Klingons within her. And Jadzia, Terry Farrell was a tour de force in DS9, and it was a travesty what happened to her at the end of season 6. Because I believed that Jadzia was very much the embodiment of Terry Farrell as a person, where she was a no-nonsense, I will take no prisoners if it's my way or the highway. And with Jadzia, Dax and Worf, everyone would be more like afraid of Worf or very standoffish with Worf, and Jadzia is just like, you call that a Klingon?
The thing is, Jadzia is a beautiful, beautiful person, but she's also someone who is not afraid of stuff. She's someone who very much lives their life, and it's the opposite of, say, Worf and Odo, who are very much kind of don't show emotion, don't do this. And Jadzia is very much like, we see her being like, you know, this is the 90s, and we see her being very kind of sexually adventurous over the course of the series. She's
very much empowered. She is the feminist that we needed in the 90s to show women can do just as well as men, and sometimes better. They are not to be trifled with, and basically they showed this by Jadzia going up against a Klingon and not taking his bullshit. And when we did on the unnamed show that I've been part of that will be that will be revealed, we mentioned the Riser episode where they both went to Riser with Bashir,
also known as Worf as being a dick.
Worf being a dick with short, but we see that he does not want to go to Riser, and it's mentioned in this episode as well, but he does not want to go to Riser. He does not like Riser. He's very traditionalist. He's like, you are my woman, blah, 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 blah. And she just does not tolerate it.
She is not his woman.
She respects...
She is her own woman
Yeah.
who allows him to be with her.
Yeah. She respects his traditions, she respects his beliefs, and she respects him. What she does not respect is being made to feel that she is property, that she is not her own person, and she will, in a heartbeat, pull you up on that. No matter how much she loves you, she will pull you up on your bullshit. And I loved it because he was grumpy, and all the way through she was just challenging him. She was pulling him up on his bullshit and how ridiculous he was being. But you know with Worf that he sees that about her, but it's within his nature to be this traditionalist cling on. And
Yeah.
over time, during their relationship, he gradually gets better and better. He melts, as I like to say, because the last scene in the Riser episode where he goes, where she takes off her is it a cloak or sarong or something like that, where she's wearing what she's wearing, and he's basically giving it all this, so she just flashes the pins because she knows she knows Worf like the back of her hand, right? And he just gives this, and this is what the one thing I love about Worf, despite him being a dick sometimes, he comes out with the smoothest as butter lines, where he's like, in that previous episode, he's like, 2 months ago, I was on Defiant, and we were in the Gamma Quadrant, and we were mapping these nebulae on patrols. It was the most beautiful thing I saw until now. And you're just like, damn. And then he did it, but he did it in this episode as well with the Tongo, where Jadzia had... did Jadzia win? Or did Quark... No, Quark won.
No, Jadzia thought she won, but then obviously Quark had a full consortium, I think.
Yeah, 207. And then Worf comes down, and, you know, they basically reveal that they've been betting. And Worf just turns, like, holds a hand, looks her in the eyes and goes, I'd rather lose a bet on you than win with someone else. And I'm like, you lurpak of a man. I think
this is the joy of the thing, though. Like, this represents the amazing writing of DS9 and the character development. Because I don't think in any other Trek show we get characters that go on the journeys that they do in DS9. Like, where the fact of Worf does go through this transformation of basically being like, because the fact is, DS9 is a very lax environment. Whatever we say, like, it's the fact of it's not the Enterprise, and we have like references to that in this one, where, like, you know, Worf goes on the Enterprise. What is it? What is it?
He was
on the
a
Enterprise,
comedian.
I was considered to be quite amusing, and she goes, "That must have been a dull ship."
Dull ship.
And it,
yeah,
and it kind of points out the idea of going, well, yeah, actually, it is a bit of a stiff kind of ship because they followed orders. They never broke, you know, they never did that. They were all willing to give up their lives for Starfleet. And then we find with DS9, it's about still making the big decisions, but not always following the rules. And it's about Worf kind of changing to fit into that environment and growing as a person to get on with other people and allowing him to have this relationship with Jadzia.
This was the dynamic, and this is what made Deep Space Nine so successful with Star Trek fans, because it wasn't Planet of the Week, Ship of the Week, Monster of the Week like the Next Generation was. They were in one location. They could not leave that location. Everything came to them, and they couldn't just fly away at the end of the episode. They had to deal with it. So it wasn't as cut and dry as it was on the Federation flagship, where they could just go. With the station,
mess that planet up. Off we go.
But with the station, you live with these people, you work with these people. These people, you know, the Bajorans, Cardassians, and everything like that. And it was more. They had to be more grey with the rules, because Federation ethics, Starfleet principles do not work on a Cardassian space station co-ran with a Bajoran government, with a Ferengi bartender, a Klingon restaurateur, and a Cardassian tailor, and you've got all these species coming to and from all over the place. Essentially, it's and please don't judge me for this, it's Bonanza in space. It's literally the frontier.
I don't know what Bonanza is, sorry.
Okay, that's fantastic. I am old. It is the Wild West of Starfleet. It is the frontier town that has been... Little House on the Prairie. It is Little House on the Prairie in space. So they are weeks away.
I'm just imagining the intro to Little House on the Prairie, but with like Worf. No, with Morn. Just Morn running through the guy in a dress. Running through the long grass.
Moogie. But it's very much that
we were robbed from that. We should have had that.
Oh, give me a green screen. But it was very much the Federation were present, but also very far away, so they are isolated. So you can't.
Yeah,
nothing's
and they would
ever cut
only
and dry.
chip in and be unhelpful, basically. Like what's the admiral who's always a dickhead? Like they're a dickhead, the female one who are the dickhead in TNG, they're a
Nechayev.
dickhead in DS9. What?
Nechayev.
Yeah, and it's stuff like that where it basically demonstrates this whole people coming in from an outside perspective, not knowing the situation and being like, "Oh, you should totally do this. Oh yeah, just make this decision and do all of this," and realizing that that doesn't work out here, like in this frontier.
But we see the consequences of this in this episode, and it sort of gives them a reality check on how they operate, especially during a time of war.
Yeah.
Because basically, after the game of Tongo, there is a lovely nookie scene, shall we say, slightly.
It's beautiful. It's showing the relationship between Jadzia and Worf, where they're basically in their quarters. She's getting ready for bed. She's doing her hair. He's going to his shrine to pray to her Daddy Kalis and stuff. And he's got to be Daddy Kalis. Except the episode where he shows up and he's like 2 foot tall, but still,
Daddy couldn't care less.
Yeah, the shrine just says actual size next to it, but it's the fact of like
no
sorry,
photos
Chris.
of Alexander anywhere, by the way, in the quarters. I'm just saying. Go on.
Just make it worse. There literally is. There's nothing. There's not even a sort of like, here's my son or something. It's just
He's the
like,
Keiko O'Brien of fathers, but go on.
I remember last week getting really excited that this could potentially be our first Keiko episode because I knew O'Brien was in it.
This banner
but
right
sadly
here,
not.
this rolling banner right here would contain nothing but Keiko O'Brien photos if there was a DS9 episode.
When we get a Keiko episode, we just need to. What we need to do is we need to do it like Unplanned Trek, where we just totally don't focus on what the actual point of the episode is and just talk about Keiko in this episode, even if she's like a side character who gets like one scene.
We need to get
like,
Russell
oh yeah,
Chow.
the others did some stuff.
We need to
But
get Russell
Keiko,
Chow. We need to get Russell Chow.
We
if
need
we
to
do
get her as
if we get the Keiko centric episode, right, and I know which one we're gonna do, we get that episode, I will fight tooth and nail, and I will delay that episode until we get Rosalind Chow, because that will be the ultimate battle that the crew of the Adequate has ever faced. Because I wanted to come in, but I wanted to come in and really pull us up on us being a bastard to Keiko O'Brien and just drag us through the coals.
The problem is, I was musing about this. I was musing about like what we're gonna do at Destination Trek, like what we're gonna talk about, and I'm just like, I just want to talk about Keiko. That's what I want to bring to a new audience.
Our
and I want to have the Always Sunny like board behind me. The sort of, just
our theme is neurodivergence on the Sunday, so we have been well and truly henpecked for the.
Can we represent this subject just by existing as ourselves?
I'm just gonna stand there and just go.
Yeah. Case in point. But this scene between Worf and Jadzia is absolutely beautiful, and it shows the dynamic between them, and it's so well acted, and and it's one of these ones where like whenever when you look back on something and you just go, oh yeah, that was cool, but I don't know if it was the best or something. Watching this episode, you just go, it might be the best love story in Trek. Like,
yes,
Jadzia and
I would
Worf.
say so.
Like,
I would absolutely say so.
You think
Triker.
Riker
Can we call them
and
Triker? Triker.
Yeah, Triker.
Is that during the lovemaking? Triker.
Triker's when there's another brother created in a transporter accident and things get funky. I think I could take a Triker. I think, it's my birthday coming up soon.
Go on.
Triker. Actually, I probably wouldn't be saying anything at that point. I'd be gasping. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, no, it's a wonderful scene between them. Just watching the viewers go down. But
it literally has.
I think it's gone down by like 2 since I started talking about fucking 3 Rikers. Anyway. But it's a beautiful scene, and it has this thing, and it obviously ends up in like lovemaking and stuff, and it's just beautiful. It shows the dynamic between them.
No one cares about the sex. But they are called to Cisco's office by Kira because
The
they are
only
given
Kira thing in the whole
the
episode.
she got a paycheck and she went home. Praise be to Nana Visitor. They are given a mission to intercept a message from a Cardassian informant who has been providing Starfleet intelligence with sensitive military information regarding the Dominion for the last couple of months. Cisco and the crew of the Defiant, they're all off doing their own thing. So it is down to Worf and Jadzia, the two senior members below Kira, to go and intercept this message in a runabout. And that is the mission. They need to get this sensitive military data, deliver it back to Starfleet intelligence, because this could potentially save millions of lives, as it has done over the last couple of months.
Super, super important information.
It's really... This is like the equivalent of World War II, where you have two men in trilbies and long coats with attaché cases saying, "The red haddock flies at midnight. Oh, aren't frogs leaping in the spring?" And then two attachés get exchanged under a bench.
Didn't you message me with something like a couple of weeks ago? And I was like, am I meant to reply with a code or something? Because it's the most obscure sentence I'd ever heard. And I was just like, the crow flies at midnight.
The things that
I thought you were going to slide over a case to me or something.
The things that we say should not ever, ever, ever be seen by other human eyes. Because our WhatsApp and our first intimacy, that's right, first intimacy group chat is the most screwed up thing. And it's not screwed up as in disgusting.
The picture of it, the picture, okay, for our like first intimacy group, and it's just me and it's me, Goodwill, and Jake. And the picture is literally the trading card of Odo having sex for the first time with the hacker woman. And it's just like, what is this? Why does this card exist?
Called,
and it all just spiral
the trading card is called First Intimacy.
I just love it. What did you get in your pack of cards, Timmy? I got the one where Odo books. Just like, it's like, we're going to take these off you and watch something healthy like Babylon 5. Cut to the house burning down. But yeah, so
I will watch Babylon 5 if you pay me, and I will donate it all to charity. But yeah,
I was thinking we need to do this for charity. We need to have like a 24-hour stream, but where we have to watch Babylon 5, and I have to put money in the jar every time I complain.
Every time we sigh,
we will make a fortune. I will be bankrupt, but we will make a fortune.
I've only got £3, so
that gets you one dig at the characters not being consistent.
But yeah, so that is our mission, and it is super important. And again, we get this lovely dynamic with Worf and Jadzia all the way through this episode. But the one thing I really did love is the dynamic in the runabout where they are picking where to go on their honeymoon, and you can see Worf is just like, I want to do an exercise holiday. I want to go rock climbing. I want to do this. And he is the Centre Parks guy in the relationship. He's like, I will spend £3,500 to be in a forest in England. And she's like, no. And
I quite like it. She says, I want room service. I want to be embarrassed at the size of our room. I love that line.
Where is it? I've written it down. I want to be embarrassed about the size of our room, and I want to be ashamed about the amount of room service that they order. And I'm like, get on, girl. That's what you deserve, lass. That is what you deserve.
But I like it, considering that he messed up their bloody Riser holiday.
Because he thinks, because he puts his head in his head, he's like, oh, Riser. And she's just like, nope, Casperia Prime.
Yeah. But I do quite like it, though. But what I will say... Yeah, there we go. But I will say, though, I quite like this, because we've talked about Worf being a dickhead in the Riser episode. In this scene, we get to see Jadzia being a dickhead. Like, I happily say Jadzia is a dickhead in this scene because, like, basically Worf is making this massive leap where he is basically being vulnerable and he is saying, okay, I will do whatever you want to do let's do that. And then she starts taking the piss out of him and being like, what's happened to you? You know, you've changed. And he's like, I'm making an effort for you. Like, it's not really what I want to do,
Yeah,
but
she's
because
very
it's
like
you.
she's very
And
like don't
she-
be a beta.
Well, yeah, but you get this. Like, I know mates who have who are in relationships where their girlfriend will be kind of like, if they do complain that they don't show their sensitive side, and then when they do, they'll make a big deal out of it, and it's
Yeah.
like way to make someone retreat back into their shell.
Yeah,
And it's very much, and it's weird, but I like this though, where it shows that Jadzia is a well-rounded character. It shows that she can have moments of being a dickhead. It shows that she can be antagonistic towards him. You know, that she is like this. But this thing, the whole episode, we get these wonderful, rounded, fleshed out characters that are so distant from what we had at the start of DS9 or the start of TNG in the case of Worf, where he was like a stoic guy who didn't really do humor, and his whole humor was him being funny because he's not funny, like
breaks his back on an empty can. But
I will say about Jadzia, I was going to say it earlier. I think I love how Jadzia represents an empowered woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had it in the 80s, where the idea of an empowered woman was a woman who was written like a man.
Yes.
Because people talk a lot about like Ripley and Aliens and stuff, and yet like in Alien
Jane
and stuff,
and
you're like, no, just because she goes and shoots things doesn't mean that she's a more powerful woman. It's the idea of being a woman, being like feminine, being empowered in that way, but also having the strength to do everything that you need to do. That's the true goal of writing. And I think in this we get Kira, who, despite being a warrior, despite being a badass, is also a woman at the end of the day, and we get this wonderful nuance to her. And with Jadzia, where it's the fact of, I think she's just brilliantly written and she's perfectly portrayed by Terry Farrell. And and obviously what we have later on in the series is, sadly, Jadzia leaves the series.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. It's been 30 years. But it's the fact that they leave the series, and it's such a crying shame, and it's annoying. And I blame Terry Farrell for it being annoying, because the best idea in the whole world is having a Trill character, and then halfway through the show, they die and they get passed to a new host, and then that's a whole wave of plot lines and stuff. That is amazing on paper. I really want that to happen. But when it happened in DS9, and you're like, oh, but we have to lose Jadzia.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, well, actually, no, I don't want that plot at all. It would be great, but no, that and we get it, and we get Ezri, and they do the best they can with only a couple of episodes to kind of go, hey, there's a lot to get through here. But it's gutting. Like, losing Jadzia is it's a testament to how good DS9 is, that it does so well without her when it shouldn't.
Yes,
There's my big speech there. Sorry.
A key character from season 1, episode 1. That he's deflated his microphone.
I'm having mic problems. It's like
it's
going down.
Oh no! Tell it it's pretty.
Yeah. Chat, can you say anything? Chat, can you say anything that'll arouse my mic enough to stay up?
You have a nice gain button.
It's making noises.
Oh. Where do I go with that one? But
you have a lovely. It's fully flaccid now. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to tighten these bolts.
You need to
I've said that before.
You really.
There we go.
Wow. Okay. The safe word is knuckles. The B plot of this episode is Miles and Julian attempting to beat Quark at a game of Tongo, because as it's revealed at the beginning of the episode, Quark has been on a 207 winning streak. So that's 207 consecutive games he has won at Tongo. So Miles is I have actually cut my knuckles. Ow. I've actually...
Why do I find that so funny? I'm sorry.
Medic! Ow. I have actually... ow, that really hurts. This is a B plot where we think it's going to be a Miles-centric plot because he wants he needs the challenge of beating Quark at a game of Tongo because he is going slightly nuts without Keiko. I don't know if that's like subliminal celebration of like she's not here and he's happy and he can do what he wants, but Julian interrupts him practicing because obviously they've got a spy thriller Hollow Suite time booked, and he just ropes him into playing a game of Tongo and eventually convinces Julian to take part in a game of Tongo against Quark because Julian is obviously genetically engineered. He is a very smart boy, and he's just like, just think of the satisfaction you will get when the Ferengis are beaten by a human. And it just ropes in Julian. But this is a brilliant...
But I do love the thing, though, that O'Brien's like learning Tongo. And then basically he gets the pad and shows it. And Julian's like, I don't know how to play. I don't know the rules. And Julian, like, and then O'Brien shows him a pad. Julian looks at it for like a second and goes, okay, let's go. You know, and it's just like, that's
it's like Monopoly on
learned the game.
It's Monopoly on steroids. And that's where O'Brien is just like, I can't beat him, but you can. And it's fantastic because I think we'll breeze through this plot straight away because it is an open and shut case. So they challenge Quark and the Ferengis. Sorry, I've been in a fight.
Quark and the Ferengis sounds like a band. That sounds like it should be like the Star Trek version of the cantina scene from Star Wars.
Quark and the Ferengis. That would be closer. Yeah. Okay, any requests? Play that same song. Okay, here we go. But they challenge Quark and the rest of the Ferengis to a game of Tongo. They decline at first, and then they go, how would you let Jadzia play? She's like, oh, well, that's different, because we all know that Quark has got the hots for Jadzia. And what I love about this subplot, though, this B plot, is that Julian can be the smartest person on the station. He can be the cleverest person on the station. But he is still susceptible to emotional manipulation, like anybody
else. Out of
else.
all the characters, even possibly Worf, Bashir is the most emotionally stunted. He is a person who is an absolute genius at everything he does, but wow, he doesn't know how people work at all. Like
he doesn't. No.
You know, when we see him going on dates with people, all he does is talk about how brilliant he is, and you're just sitting there being like, "Well, this is terrible," you know. And it's,
would you compare him to Dr. Paul Stubbs from last week's episode, Evolution?
Yeah, possibly. Like I'd say it's the idea of Paul Stubbs represents Bashir if Bashir hadn't had such good parents. Yeah. While we do have episodes about Bashir's parents, well, we only get 2 really, and we only see his dad once. I always wonder in the second episode where it's just his mum, and you're like, "Where's his dad?" And then like, "Oh, in prison." But, you know. But anyway, I think that's the way it is.
He's spending time in Australia. Oh, woe is me.
But it's wouldn't wish it upon anyone. Hello, Unplanned Trek. That's close enough.
But Australia doesn't exist. It's okay. Go on.
But the idea is that his parents, for all that they did to him and how resentful he is of them, they had his best intentions at heart. And they were actually really good parents to him. Unlike Paul Stubbs, where we hear about his mum, and his mum seems to be very domineering, and even written an autobiography damning him, basically, like a tell-all sort of book all about him. And you're just like going... So this is like the dark side of... No, this is like the light side of Paul Stubbs, I think.
Yeah. But with Bashir, we see that the game starts, and like we said, Tongo is like Monopoly on steroids. There is a roulette-type wheel. There's buying, there's consolidating, there's offer-making, there's all these business lingos that everyone probably knows from their day jobs goes on in this game. And eventually... It's much like poker. There's only 2 hands in the game, and it's Quark and Julian. Everyone else has been bought out or they've lost. And Quark very much is the perfect poker player in this episode because he knows one vulnerability that Bashir has, because it is also Quark's vulnerability. So he uses that against Julian, and that vulnerability is Jadzia. And they emphasize, because like I said, this is, like we said at the top of the episode, this is a recent episode after. Sorry, I don't have a bandage, and I honestly, I feel like I've been punched. It won't stop
What
bleeding.
did you do?
I don't
what did you
know.
scratch it against?
The desk. It's
Hold
not
on,
even a sharp desk. It's got round edges because I know I'm thick. But
This is Goodwill getting very meta for this episode, because obviously an injury happens later in the episode and nearly bleeds to death. So by the end of this, I'm going to have to take Goodwill back to the ship.
Does my table have an anticoagulant and it's wood? So it's Quark and Julian, and Quark knows Julian's weakness, which is because it's the same weak. It is his weakness as well. It's Jadzia Dax. So they start going on about how they didn't expect that Worf and Dax would have lasted as long as they have so far. You know, Quark would have given it a month. Julian would have given it a week, shall we say?
Yeah.
And Quark just basically says, you know, well, what if? You know, it's hard to think about, because what if Jadzia was that last ever hope at true happiness, at true love, because she lights up anyone's day. When she walks into the bar and she smiles, she brightens up my day. And then Julian goes, all she has to do is walk past the infirmary and wink, and everything is just suddenly better. And they're having this really tender one-to-one, and you just think it's a bonding moment between them both. And then it quickly becomes evident that Quark is playing him emotionally. And even when Miles tries to jump in, and Quark's just like, no confirmation during around, you know this, Miles.
No more coaching.
And then we find that he emotionally compromises Julian so much that he just dominates the round and absolutely bankrupts Bashir within that round. And Julian is absolutely dumbfounded by this. He's absolutely destroyed. And the bit at the end where he goes to Quark, did you really mean everything that you said about Jadzia being my last hope of true happiness? And he just walks away and he goes, I will never give away all of my cards, Doctor. And he just walks away, and I'm just like, damn, he is brutal.
But this is the thing. This is how powerful Quark is. Like, I will say, this is one of the episodes where we realize that Quark doesn't really make sense in a lot of DS9. Where it's the fact of the amount of money he has and how successful he is constantly fluctuating. Like, because obviously money in DS9 makes no sense. Like, it's like, hey, 5 strips of latinum, and then that's someone's entire pay for the week. And then in another episode, someone just gets like 20 bars of latinum, and you're like, is that like $1 million? You know, like, and you know, the exchange rate it doesn't make any sense.
I think it's slips, strips, and bars, I believe.
Yeah, slips, strips, and bars. But there's no consistency, and I think they've admitted that they didn't really keep track of how much they said things were worth and whatnot over the course of the show.
Bottles. Look.
Yeah. Like that's effectively in one episode that'll be like a person's life savings, and in another episode that'll be someone's weekly pay. So it's kind of, but with Quark, he is so powerful, he is so manipulative, he is so good at things, and then you just go, why are you always struggling on your ass? Like what, you know? And it is very weird that Quark is this sort of amazingly astute guy, but then at the same time really crap Ferengi and not very savvy, and you're like, yeah, there's an inconsistency there, and I love the character, but I have to criticize something about this episode.
But I think in a way to justify it, it could be that he's good with some people, and he finds it really hard with others who are far superior to him intellectually and financially. They've got more savvy heads.
Enough good Ferengis. We just haven't seen enough Ferengis, like, to see how amazing Ferengis are generally. But what we do see is how good Quark and his brother Rom are with humans. With other races, they seem to be easily able to pull the wool over their eyes and get whatever they want out of them. But with other Ferengis, they seem to struggle. And what we see over the course of DS9 is Rom taking to that and going, I'm going to use this to my advantage, and then becomes a great human, effectively. Like, becomes great at being in Starfleet. Well, not Starfleet, but, and then whereas Quark always resists it and ends up not really getting anywhere by constantly trying to be a Ferengi.
He's very much a big fish in a little pond in certain occasions, where when he is confronted by other stronger Ferengis, he's very much out of his depth when it comes to Liquidator Brunt, for example. Most occasions he's out of his depth. And when he goes to Ferenginar, again, he's out of his depth, but it's always with the help of others that he's able to succeed. With this episode, though, the way he trumps Bashir, and it's just, that is arguably the best human on the station. And Quark has just manipulated him and bluffed his way to an easy win from Julian Bashir. So I thought it was a nice little B plot through the episode to show that, Quark, he's on this winning streak and we can beat him, and you're genetically superior, you've got a better brain and you could easily do that, you learnt the game dead quickly, blah, blah. And it's like, you don't have to be genetically superior, incredibly brainy, incredibly intelligent and analytical and thoughtful and understand the game mechanics when you are so, like you said, emotionally stunted. And Quark knows this and can then just go, I will take advantage of that. I will find your exploit and take advantage of it because that is your weakness. And even using, because like we say, Jadzia is his weakness as well. So he's that good that he compromises his own feelings to win when it comes to that. And it's brilliant.
I mean, this is the thing, though. It's all about, Bashir is someone who has all the gifts. Like, he has intelligence, he has hand-eye coordination, he has medical knowledge. He is, he is a tour de force. However, he struggles at basic humaning a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And it's a demonstration of how it is with life. Like, success isn't based upon talent a lot of the time. Like, the best musicians I know in the world don't do particularly well because they don't have the savvy. So the people I know who can literally hear a song once, immediately tell you what modes what modes it moves through, what key it's in, all of the notes, and then immediately play it back to you. They are not the ones writing albums. They are not the ones getting music contracts or putting stuff out there. The people who aren't particularly brilliant with music but are prolific and know how to engage with people and know how to do this, that, and the other, they are the ones making careers. Like, we joke about stuff like, like Madonna and Lady Gaga and Rihanna and stuff, and we go, oh, they're not talented or whatnot. But they put the work in, and that's the important part. And this is the thing, it's the idea of Bashir should on paper be the most successful person in the entire world, but actually he's let down by not having all of the full gamut of stuff. Whereas Quark is beating him because he might not have intelligence, he might not have skill, but he has savvy.
Yeah.
And he can manipulate people. And it's using your skills for advantage. I went off on one there, sorry.
No, it's absolutely fine. Getting back to the A-plot, though, they rendezvous at the coordinates that they were given by this defector, and the defector basically says, I know the exact locations, how many, and what they are up to of all the founders in the Alpha Quadrant.
Now, considering what has happened previously with the war, where we realize how dangerous the founders are. They are changelings. They are shapeshifters. They can be anyone. We have an amazing episode. No, we have 2 amazing episodes about there being founders on Earth. And the mere hint that there's founders on Earth who could literally be the president, they could be, they could be the president, they could be anyone, they could be high military officials, is terrifying because you could just destroy all of Starfleet very, very quickly.
Well, even
so that we get that wonderful episode where a changeling appears, takes the form of Miles O'Brien, and then literally just says to Cisco, like, hey, there's this many of us on Earth, and none of us were behind that whole plot that you were talking about, that you spent a whole episode dealing with.
But even 20 years later, when we see probably one of the most like not terrifying but unsettling scenes where Seven is talking to Tuvok on screen and she's challenging him and she almost believes him, and then they slip up and then all you see is that smile from Tim Russ, and it's unsettling how they do it, because that is and this is how terrifying it is. They could be anyone, anywhere, at any given time, and how can you fight that? How in a federation of not billions, trillions of people, how can you fight that? How can you identify each and every person all the time?
When the changelings, like, obviously you have people like Odo who aren't brilliant at shapeshifting. Like, they're not brilliant at replicating things precisely, which is why Odo looks the way he does. It's why it's why he doesn't have any internal organs and stuff. But then it kind of mentions there are changelings who can literally morph with the detail of all of their blood. The atoms inside their blood are exactly what they should be, so they can get through any scanner whatsoever. And then in the middle of DS9, during the middle of the Dominion War, we basically go, oh, blood tests can find the problem. So basically, if you take a blood test from a shapeshifter, it'll go, oh, it's not real blood. But later on, it points out, oh no, they found a way around this now. They're able to actually replicate blood properly, which just means there's nothing you can do. We have an episode where one just sneaks into a conference and blows it up. Like, just literally blows himself up because he turns into a bomb, I think, isn't it? He turns into a bomb and then he blows himself up.
Yeah.
And you just like, that's terrifying. So that is how important this information is, that they're like, hey, we can tell you how many shapeshifters are on a planet at a particular time, which, wow, like, that's big news, you know?
Yeah, so this information could potentially save millions of lives in the war. So the bargaining chip is, I have got this information, you need to get me out because my superiors they're closing in, basically. So this Cardassian defector is paranoid that the superiors at Cardassia Prime are starting to close in, and he's like, this is the last time I will be able to leave Cardassia Prime and head to Sukara, and I want out. I want to be picked up. And Worf and Jadzia don't really have another choice, because it's either they go back to Starfleet Intelligence and ask for them to pick the defector up, or they get him themselves and collect the information. So the decision is made. They go to Sukara to pick up the Cardassian defector. We get a lovely bit of to and from where they go through the asteroid field when they're doing like the Millennium Falcon.
Well, before then, when they have the conversation with the Cardassian, he is such a dickhead. Like, I would genuinely, it kind of points out, because obviously the Cardassians throughout DS9 are an allegory for the Nazis. Like, they are very much xenophobic. They hate, or, they are very much, we are the superior race. We are the best way to do everything and whatnot. And this
Anyone else is
Cardassian
below
in particular is an absolute dickhead. He's literally going, hey, I need your help to do this thing. And then immediately insults both of them. Like, he's like, oh God, it's a Klingon. Oh, I can't believe I'm being saved by a horrible Klingon and stuff. And it's like, okay, you're not making yourself very endearing, but he has the goods,
I think it's because he knows that the information is so valuable that he can get away with being an absolute dick.
Although we do have the wonderful writing where basically, Jadzia makes a joke and then the Cardassian goes, is that supposed to be funny? And then she goes, no, he's the funny one, referring to Worf after the conversation they'd had earlier about like how he just doesn't have a sense of humor.
It's a lovely bit of passive aggression from Jadzia. I love it. I absolutely love it.
The dialogue is just so fantastic in this episode. It's so good. Anyway. But the asteroid field.
So they have a little. They warp in to the vicinity of the planet, and what they have to do is essentially navigate an asteroid field to mask their entrance into the sensor field. because the planet is obviously networked and gridded, so that any ship enters the space of the planet is automatically detected by the Jem'Hadar, but the only way through it is to go through this asteroid field, which kind of like intersects the detection grid. So they do this nice little Millennium Falcon run, I like to call it, and Jadzia is just like, well, I can go faster if you want. And, you know, Worf is like
she's showing off, but...
Yeah, she is. Because she's a pilot. One of her lives, she was a pilot. She's like, I've got 300 years of experience. And he just
I think this is the fun thing about Jadzia, though, that she is very OP as a character. Like, it's just the fact that she can do everything, and yet she doesn't ever seem too much. Like, you know, because she has all these lives. She's just like, oh, yeah, I can do this. And the episode where she discovers she can do music as well. And she's like, oh, I never even tried with this before. Like, and it is fascinating to get a Trill as a character, because we didn't really go into them too heavily on TNG. But naturally, it's like going, if you've had 8 lives, and they deliberately try and make it so that all of the hosts give something different to the symbiote, so they're all in different kind of careers, then she just ends up with this, like, she's a diplomat, she's a pilot, she's a dancer, she is a fighter, she is a a murderer. She is like a musician.
She's the ultimate RPG character.
Yeah. She is, when you know it, because I've never played one of them, kind of thing, but a friend of mine really loves the Final Fantasy Online. Is it 15?
Yeah.
Or is it 14?
15. I think it's
14.
14, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, 14. And his character has every job now. Like, they've been playing for so long that they're sort of like level 50 or something in every single class you can have. And it's like, wow, that's a lot of uniforms you have there. But it's crazy though. And that's what the perfect Trill sounds like, you know. Like, if you get to like level like 15 lives and you just go, I have had every career possible.
It's and they get to
Sarah in the chat is saying it is 14. Right.
Thank you, Sarah, our gaming guru in Trekkin Up North tonight. So they land on the planet. They have no other choice because they can't beam, because there's this massive transport inhibitor all the way around the planet, so they can't beam them out. He's given them specific coordinates in the jungle for them to rendezvous, pick them up, and take them back to Federation space. They get down to the planet.
It's going to take them 2.5 days to walk there through the jungle,
because they have to essentially land so far away from the grid, and then they have to hack into the grid, mask their life signatures. But that also means that they can't use tricorders to sense where they are. They have to use standard military wits, which is, you know, boot camp 101 training for stuff like this. So
the irony here, this is the honeymoon that Worf wanted.
Yeah, it is. And that's what's hilarious about this. So she wanted Casperia Prime to be, you know, weighted on hand and foot, and he wanted to do mountain climbing, traversing through forests and everything like that, and walking. And he's getting what he wants. And he's even gone full like 1920s, 1930s jungle explorer with his own blade, just doing this all the way through the jungle. But we see that there is a tender scene during the night where Worf is called, and I wanted to pull you up on this because Jadzia, who is a fan of Riser and relaxing on the beach, apparently Trill's hate the heat.
Right.
Worf hates the cold, Trill's hate the heat. And I sat down and I was just like, but you like Riser. Is she like me? I'm not the non-stereotypical ginger because I enjoy scalding hot weather and I don't
bear in mind though that Riser is a pleasure planet. Like, but what we learn about Riser through DS9 more so than TNG is that basically they can fulfill every need. So the fact is, you could probably just go, hey, I want to be outside in an area where it's not too hot, it's not too cold. You know, like, you could probably control all of that, but we don't really get into it. But we do get to see her in the sunshine, like, you know, sunbathing or whatever, which kind of goes like, well, she's doing pretty okay in the sun.
I'm just going to say Trills are the gingers of the Federation. So when we get this nice little because they're hearing mating calls of animals and stuff like that, and they realize that someone is coming, so they hide behind.
No, let's not skip over that. They have a beautiful scene where they are listening to the mating calls of animals, realizing, oh, that one's pretty far away. Oh, it's getting closer to the other one. Oh, they must have met up. Oh, how romantic that is. And then they go, oh, they're moving further apart. Oh, no, the female sounds really angry. And it's this wonderful scene where it's a one shot take of them two together listening to these like birds or creatures or whatever. But then they realize what's split them up. Oh no, something must be coming. And then they immediately panic. They pack up the camp, they throw it behind a log or whatever, and they duck down, get their weapons out, and go, okay, something is coming in the forest that's scaring things away. Let's prepare for it,
With this scene though, with the Jem'Hadar patrol, did they have to shoot them?
I don't know. Like, it seems odd. Like, I don't think there's a correct
They weren't
thing
detected.
for this. I think that the Jem'Hadar would probably have found them if they hadn't have shot them, but I don't think shooting them when they did was the best plan.
Yeah, so they weren't detected, but there would have been a better way because the ambush was quite poor, and we see how poor it is when, I mean, Worf and Jadzia killed 3 of them, but Jadzia is hit by a disruptor blast, which, it critically damages her. And
I will say, weapons in Star Trek kind of change around a lot because, like, remember in TNG where getting hit by a disruptor meant all of you evaporated, and then in this one it's like it kind of works like a blade here.
It's different settings on the disruptor.
But would a Jem'Hadar ever put it on a low setting? Can you imagine that?
Yes, if they wanted to I would say if they wanted to either interrogate or take the body for the founders to research and mimic. I would justify it that way.
Well, fuck you and your good responses.
Well, okay.
You really clever answers.
But I'm never clever. But what I really loved is the fact that the Jem'Hadar are that, like, not ruthless, but clever, that even if they clip someone, there is an anticoagulant within the disruptor blast, so that even if they clip someone, they will never be able to stop the bleeding. So eventually they will bleed to death unless they get major surgery. So in the field, so say like if you're in the battlefield and you get clipped by a Jem'Hadar, no matter where it could be the shoulder, the most least the least vital, not vital, but you know what I mean, like least vital area, you will still die if you don't get immediate medical attention, because there is an anticoagulant within that stops your blood clotting. So you just continue to bleed and bleed and bleed until you're dead. And it's sort of like it gives the victim 2 choices. You either run in the hopes that you are eventually found and get medical attention, or you turn yourself in, or third one, you die. So, but it's
not a clear option there, but
it's either surrender or die. Like, it's surrender, or if you can run, but you will bleed out.
Well, it kind of says a lot about, like, it suggests a very Vorta tactic of basically going, we're going to put you in a position where you need medical help, so you are probably going to surrender. If we kind of go, hey, cool, we can save you, but you have to surrender, and then they have a prisoner, and you're just like, yeah, no, okay, it makes perfect sense. I was totally wrong. It makes perfect sense that the Jem'Hadar would have non-lethal weapons, but that put you at the mercy of them.
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of like, come with us or die. That's what it is. And then, they save your life, but then you are interrogated. You are put in a prison cell and you are interrogated. You are studied, etc., etc. But she is shot, and the situation becomes dire when they are still trying to go to the rendezvous. They are still traversing, and Jadzia is getting progressively worse and worse and worse with this wound that is obviously not healing. They are trying to change the dressing. They have got no field equipment, and Worf eventually they get to a clearing, and Jadzia just rests, And Worf just basically says, you need medical attention from a starbase. Now, that basically means, like, even if they get back to the runabout, there is still zero hope of Jadzia surviving unless they place her in cryostasis and get to a starbase. So that's how serious it is. And this is the crux of this episode. This is the pivotal point of this episode, and what also sets up Worf as a character going forward, even into Picard Season 3. A decision has to be made by Worf. His wife, his newlywed wife, is bleeding to death. They are at a crossroads. He can either go one way to rendezvous with the Cardassian to bring them back, and Jadzia dies, bleeds out on the floor.
And save millions of lives.
And save millions of lives.
Yeah, and stay true to Starfleet.
Or he risks the Cardassian being found, being killed, because he's not escorted out. He saves his wife, takes her back to the runabout, which is a 45-hour journey, by the way, puts her in a cryo tube, and then they hightail it back to DS9. She makes an impassioned speech. They are both Starfleet officers. They have a duty. They have a duty to the Federation. She wants him to go and get the Cardassian because it is the right thing to do. And we get this really tender moment where Worf, who is not one for saying things, tries to say something to Jadzia because it's his final moments with Jadzia. And she goes...
Yeah, in his mind, he's like, you're not going to survive this one.
Yeah. And she just says, don't say a word, just kiss me. And then they part ways, and we think that's it. And then we get this scene where he's traversing the jungle again, and we hear a heartbeat all the way through this scene, and he stops traversing, and he's looking around, and he's either looking forward or he's looking back where he came. And he makes that decision to go back for his wife. He makes that decision to rescue the person he loves and head back to the station. And when we get back to the station, we get this really, really good scene with Sisko and Worf. This is the first appearance of Sisko in this episode.
Which is great. And once again, I know I say it every single time, but the fact that DS9 can just go, we don't need the main character.
No.
We can happily do a whole episode. Sisko literally appears in one scene to get a paycheck and to be like, you're a dickhead. You know? And it's beautiful. It's great. I didn't even notice he wasn't there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even notice until this scene. I was like, oh, bollocks, this is the first time Sisko's been in it.
That's how good this episode is, where in the last 4 minutes, Sisko turns up. And it's a debrief for Worf, who's in the infirmary waiting for news on Jadzia. They confirm that the Cardassian is dead. They intercepted the transmission that he was killed. And I love that Sisko is a captain, and he is also human. And in the debrief, he goes and he words it beautifully all the way through, because the first thing he says is, as your captain, you made the wrong choice. And Worf does not regret this choice. He regales a story that he heard of a child, he heard as a child. Do you know this story, Synoiz? Did you write this one down?
No.
I will go.
No, I wrote down, as your captain, it is my duty to inform you that you made the wrong choice. And it is a very cold line from Sisko, but he's basically going like, you fucked up. Like,
yeah.
And this is the whole thing. Worf doesn't fuck up. Like, we have him. He is always strict to the rules. He is always the person who will pull through and do whatever. Like, he's not like the other characters where, you know, there's a humanity that basically allows them to swerve from it. And then in this episode, we realize that his Achilles heel is now Jadzia.
That's the thing, because we
but it doesn't make him less of a person.
We see in this we see at the end of this scene where his love for his wife trumps all. And he knew what he was doing. What he was doing, not as a Starfleet officer, but as a person, as a husband of someone he loves deeply, was the right thing to do. He has zero regrets. But here is the pivotal moment for the Worf character in Star Trek. He is told by Sisko this action that he has done. He won't get a court-martial. He will not get a court-martial because it would essentially expose Starfleet Intelligence's plans. So they sweep it under the rug. But he says, you will never, this incident will ensure that you never have a command of your own.
No, he doesn't say that. He says this could well prevent you. Like, he basically says it's very, very likely that you're not going to get a command of your own.
Sorry, my mistake. But
yeah,
because
I remember, because he does get a command of his own eventually, but
he does, but it's ironic. And again, Worf is the butt of the joke. We find out in Picard season 3 he becomes a captain, but he's captain of the Enterprise. And we don't talk about what happened to the Enterprise E, although we see it in Star Trek Prodigy. And a load of fans have just went, oh, so he was captain of the ship for like 20 minutes and he just fucked it up. Do you know what I mean? But
still better than Troy.
Still better than... Yeah, well, there was a deleted scene from Marina Sirtis wanted to do for Picard Season 3. She wanted to crash the ship again in Picard Season 3. And it was really funny because everyone on Twitter, because I've sort of stayed away from certain parts of Twitter this week because of obvious reason, but there was a certain bit of Twitter going, oh, making Deanna Troi crash the Enterprise, typical, everyone just wants to shit on Deanna Troi. And Terry Metalis, the absolute fucking legend, just turned around and went, this was Marina's idea. She wanted us to film it, and when she has an idea, you do it because it's Marina Sirtis. And I'm like, good on you, Terry. Absolutely. She wanted to do the scene. She filmed it. They made the joke. It didn't make the final edit, but they shot it because she wanted that joke. She had owned that joke, which is brilliant. But with this is the, I mean, for Worf up until like last year, that was the lasting repercussion for Worf. He would never be most likely never be a captain, even through the games and everything like that, unofficial games and stuff. He was always the commander. He was never the captain. He had command of ships, but he was never a captain, and there were always temporary commands. So this is a changing. This is a pivotal moment. But what we see from Sisko is right at the end. He goes, as a husband, as a man, if that was Jennifer lying there, I would have done the same. So he is captain first and informs Worf of what he has done as a captain and the repercussions of that as a captain. But as a man, he would have done the same. And that is a cold reassurance for Worf, but also he doesn't care, because we see that when Jadzia wakes up, he says, I would have done it again, and I would do it 1,000,000 times.
He has, this is probably my favorite line from the episode, is she basically goes, oh my God, are you in trouble? And he just says, I have been in trouble before.
Yeah.
That is the best way. Whenever anything happens and people are worried for you, just like, I have been through this, I will be fine. It's wonderful.
When you find someone who you click with, who you become besotted with, it's everything makes sense. And you know your life without that person would, very much like Sisko was for the longest time when Jennifer died in the first episode.
Yeah.
Your life without them is not the same, and in some circumstances it's there's no point to it, because the soulmate that you have had is no longer there. And it harks back to the Quark and Bashir conversation, like, was Jadzia our last chance of happiness and stuff like that? And Worf is sort of proud because he realised that the needs of the many at this point did not outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. So he made that decision, and he has zero regrets about that decision. And you have to give Worf credit for making that decision, considering its career, unalivement, shall we say. It's his decision, and he has no regrets, and you have to respect him.
Wait,
for
it's
that.
it's the perfect encapsulation of DS9. The
Yes.
fact of this is not, this is a very unpredictable area, and all people have is their morals and their personal identity.
Yes.
That's the only thing that they have in this, and that's why it's such a big deal when people go against their morals and stuff. Like the evolution of Cisco, basically what happens in the Pale Moonlight, where it's the idea of going, because that's the opposite of this. It's the opposite decision that we get from Cisco, because here we have Cisco going, yes, I would have done that for Jennifer and stuff. And then we basically have him going, no, I did what was for the greater good, even though it was totally against what I felt in my heart, because I knew I needed to do it. So we kind of get like Worf and Cisco kind of crossing, where we kind of have going in different directions, but both evolving in their characters.
Yeah, it is a wonderful episode. I am very happy that we have had the ability to review it. Do you have any further notes to add?
Okay, my only notes to add are basically two dicks. We didn't really get into that, but yeah, she's dealing very well in the morning, I'm just gonna say, because even I would require a cup of coffee first. The xenophobic Cardassian, yeah, we've done that. Yeah. No, I think the only thing I want to mention is the oh, I have made a note actually that Worf saying that when he was a child, he wanted to run naked into the woods and become feral and stuff. I have mentioned that, and he mentions his brother, and it's so weird that Worf's relationship as an adopted child is very strange, because he has more of a relationship with his human adoptive brother, and he refers to him as his brother, whereas whenever he refers to his actual Klingon brother that we meet in TNG, he's they're very distant. They're not as close as him and this human. And when we meet his human brother in an episode, it's a later episode of TNG, I think, and it's this whole thing about pilgrimaging. It's a big pilgrimage, and these people, and they transport them around planets.
It's a Prime Directive
kind of fascinating
episode.
Yeah, it's a good one. But yeah, so it is. I quite like that about Worf. But the main thing I want to mention is there's no Odo in this episode, and he is my favorite character. So it's kind of strange loving an episode that he's not in at all. But it's also how good Bashir is in this. Because I'm the first one to criticize Bashir. I don't think he's the best actor in the show. And I don't think he's the best actor in the show. And I think a lot of the times Bashir tends to be a bit of a ham-fisted character. And yet we get a wonderfully nuanced performance from him. We get a really good character development of him, and being like, hey, you have all the gifts, but it's not enough. And then you get also more evolution of the wonderful O'Brien-Bashir friendship, which is this wonderful bromance between them. And
they are so cute.
Yeah, it's just absolutely brilliant. One of the latest episodes, literally the fourth from last episodes in DS9 has a weird conversation between them, where it's literally they're both thinking that they're gonna die, and Bashir's like, yeah, but you love me more than your wife, and he's like, no, I don't. And they have this conversation, then it just goes, and it kind of suggests that maybe they do, and obviously not romantically, but it shows that as friends, you can possibly love someone more than your actual partner.
I mean, that is true, especially when you are married to Keiko or Ryan.
The true evil of the universe.
True evil! But it is a
Rosalind
belter of-
Chow, if she ever meets us, is just going to punch me in the face, isn't she?
I'm hoping that she's in Blackpool in order to punch you in the face. I love Deep Space Nine. I think it is my favorite Star Trek episode, Star Trek series. It just has everything that Star Trek needed and what everyone wanted in sci-fi. And it took Star Trek in a direction that it needed to go. It matured Star Trek, and everything that came after it was better because of Deep Space Nine. It learned from Deep Space Nine, and I am so proud that it got more recognition, obviously, when it came on streaming platforms in 2010s. And it kills me to this day that although we did get some DS9 exploration in Picard, that we have not fully, in live action, revisited this vital area of the franchise that defined Star Trek as a generation. Like, excuse the pun, but it defined Star Trek in the 90s. It went from this 60s and 80s campy ship of the week, blah 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 blah, and this was just like, this was Babylon 5 but good. And
Babylon 5 but with good writing.
With good writing, yeah. Babylon Discovery, but it was the
Well, what I was actually going to say though is actually to not to be mean about Discovery, but it's the fact that with Discovery it has so much emotional content where they want you to be emotional, where they have characters that have a lot of crying, and they have this is an emotional moment, you fucker, and it's got a lot of that in it. And yet this moment, like when Jadzia's like saying goodbye to Worf and stuff like that, and even like them having the sort of tete-a-tete in the shuttle pod and stuff, that was more emotional for me than anything in Discovery. While there aren't tears specifically, it's the idea of just being like that wonderful performance from Terry Farrell, and the waver of the voice, the way they glance at each other and stuff like that. It was a tour de force of emotional writing and acting.
Yeah, you don't have to go over the top with it, because the beauty of showing emotion is not showing a lot of emotion. It is the believability via the writing that these two characters unconditionally love each other, and the fact that this is their final moments together, and they do it in such a way where there is no crying, there is very few words, and that's how they leave it. That is how an emotional departure should be. And Discovery could have learnt a lot from studying scenes like this. And again, we are not...
Less is more.
We are not crapping on Discovery. I am...
But you're not. You're not.
I'm not, because I'm reviewing Discovery currently. But it needs to learn from previous Trek, and this would be a prime example of that with Burnham and Buck from season 3, season 4, and season 5. But to sum up with Change of Heart, it is a belter of an episode in a belter of a season of Deep Space Nine, because season 6 and season 7, absolute chef's kiss. Absolute chef's kiss. And
7 shouldn't be as good as it is, but it is. It's absolutely phenomenal. One other thing I want to mention about this, I forgot, is when Sisko is admonishing Worf, he points out, you and Jadzia will never be alone together on a mission ever again. You will never be assigned to a solo mission with Jadzia, which, honestly, we were talking about this earlier in the week, about the idea of a lot of the time, the fault isn't the person who made the mistake. The fault is the manager for allowing that situation to happen. And I think it's very much in this, you're just going, yeah, to be fair, Sisko, you did put a wedded couple on a dangerous mission together and then wondered why they, I think
got
emotional. And you're like going, yeah, that should be a rule anyway.
But-
Don't be on a mission with your spouse.
But this harks back to what we were mentioning earlier in the episode, where DS9 is not like a starship. It is very grey. Everything's very loosey-goosey. But with this...
With
it's
two
sort
dicks,
of-
it's going to be. Yeah.
With two dicks, imagine American Pie would have looked vastly different. But the...
That's not an apple.
the But it's that adage of you have got a captain, a manager, and there are two people who are involved with each other, and he's been lenient with it up until this point. But obviously, questions will be asked of Cisco. Why did you let a married couple go on a dangerous mission together, which has possibly compromised our intelligence?
He knows he fucked up. Like, he
Exactly.
should not have allowed that to happen.
Yeah, but that is not Worf and Jadzia's fault. In a way, it is their CO's fault for allowing it to continue as long as it's continued, because they have never been in a situation. Yes, they've been in situations where there is a risk to life with everyone else. They have not been in a situation where there was a risk to life to one of them alone. And that compromise of duty is something that Cisco now has to answer for, because he is the captain of the station. He is the captain of the Defiant, and everyone under him, he is responsible for. So when the CNCs, when the COs and everything from Starfleet go, we have lost this vital intelligence that could have saved millions of lives. We could have found where these founders were, and we did not get it because you let a husband and wife go on the same mission.
Yeah.
So no court-martial for Worf, very luckily, because of the situation, but Cisco would be dragged through the fucking coals.
Yeah, and this is the thing. It's once again evolution of character. And what we find is obviously Cisco is a commander for like 3 seasons, and then he gets the upgrade to captain, and he's still finding himself throughout all of DS9. He is still going, how do I be a leader? How do I be? And we get the parallels of just how different he is to Picard, how different he is to, well, Kirk's a bad example, but like how different he is to like people like Janeway and whatnot. And yeah, it's a difficult job. Being a manager is a difficult job, unless you're really shit at it and they can't fire you, and then you can just do whatever you want. But yeah.
So that was our
job, Goodwill. But
that was our review of Change of Heart from Star Trek Deep Space Nine Season 6. A fantastic episode. We both love it. We both love DS9, so of course we're going to love it. However, Science Officer Synoiz,
if this is my song again.
we are receiving an incoming transmission.
Incoming transmission.
I fully expect it. I'm going to have nightmares about the LCARS screen now.
Try and find the song.
No, don't do it again. Don't do it again.
Welcome.
Damn it.
Welcome, everybody, to the double wheel of episodes. Double. If you are new to Trekking Up North, thank you for turning up at episode 60. Can you believe we have done this for 60 episodes?
What are we going to
60
get
weeks.
for episode 69, where we just go, nice?
I know exactly what I want for episode 69. I'm not going to share it until episode 68. Episode 69, in 9 weeks' time, I want this entire live chat right here to just say nothing but nice all the way through. All the way
exception
through.
to the Dabo rule.
I want comments saying nice. I want replies saying nice. Every time I promote 69, it's just going to say nice with a link.
69.
Promote 60. Yeah, well, I don't do the sex. I don't know. But it's nice. That woke up Beth.
I love that Beth's in the chat saying, "Come on, Code of Honor." Oh yes.
Oh,
Imagine if we got Code of Honor for 69.
I would quit the show. For those new though, for episode 60, this is not 69. This is episode 60. We have every asterisk episode of Star Trek in existence programmed into this wheel right there. And what we do, we firstly ask what me and Science Officer Synoiz want as an episode. Shut your face. We then spin the wheel. We then yell at the top of our lungs, "Shut your beautiful moustached face." 1 week of being 39. Make the most of it.
Isn't it terrifying?
It is. Haha.
No,
How the
no, we haven't
turntables.
We haven't mentioned this at all on the chat at all. On Tuesday coming, so by the next episode, I'm going to be 40. How crazy is that? My 40th birthday on Tuesday.
He's got to get his bus pass, and he's going to go home, get curtains drawn, and watch Trekkin up north.
Oh, not one out.
Terrible.
But it's the idea of...
At your age, it'd just be dust. But
That's
go
what
on.
the Ramblecast's for, anyway. But it's the idea of hi in the chat, Adam. No, but this is the crazy thing, though. Someone the other day was talking to me, and they were like, "Oh, I'm 28. Oh, I'm going to be 30 soon. Oh, it's the end of days and stuff." And I was like, my 30s have honestly been the best years of my life so far. They have been. I have absolutely loved being in my 30s. My whole life has opened up. I've stopped worrying about all the bullshit that I used to worry about. All of my worries now are valid concerns, and I think that is kind of cool. And it's
cool.
also the crazy things I'm managing to do with my life makes me really happy. And also, yesterday I looked in the mirror and I was like, I look really good. I'm actually, and I was kind of complimenting, and that was the weirdest thing, like going through the teens and the 20s and stuff and being like, oh, I hate the way I look at all times and stuff. And it was kind of cool looking in the mirror and being like, I'm quite happy with how my skin is. Oh, I'm quite happy with this and stuff. And yeah, so it feels wonderful
Breaking news.
Going into 40 like this.
Breaking news from my mother.
Oh, yeah. Hello, Mother Goodwill.
Happy 40th birthday, Graham.
Is that what she said?
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah. With love hearts. With love hearts.
Thank you, Mama Goodwill.
So,
thank you for the hearts.
So it is Science Officer Synoiz' 40th year on the planet Honk.
Which is 10 years after Gay death. So I'm doing quite well. I've been on borrowed time for quite a while. Because Gays age like dogs.
I'm sorry. You don't get ID'd though, do you?
No, but those are very dark rooms. Do you get ID'd?
Yeah.
What the I mean, now you said it, I kind of understand
Here is the
it,
joke. Here is the joke, right? Here's the joke. I get ID'd at Morrison's for Red Bull.
But
not even alcohol, Red Bull. Because you must be 16.
The fact you have like 50 Star Trek sort of ships in your hand. And
but here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? Alcohol. UK, 18 years of age. Challenge 25. Great. Red Bull, 16. I get ID'd because potentially I look like a 16-year-old, right? And I feel so valid. I feel so validated. I feel fantastic. I feel wonderful when they ask. I've just hit my desk again. Ow. I feel wonderful, right?
How many cuts have you got now?
Yes, but it is shattered instantaneously because they go, do you have ID? And I go, yes, I have ID. And I get my ID out, which is my driving license. And they go, this is what they do. They go, and I was like, that was quick. They went, we saw 19. And immediately the whole illusion is shattered because your birthday is so long ago. They just have to see 1 and 9 and go, oh, well, he's old enough.
Yeah, isn't it crazy though? Like we were talking about someone me and a friend were talking about someone who was born in the year 2001. And honestly, I felt sorry for them because I was like, you missed everything.
Oh, you missed the last best decade.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you missed the 90s. You missed all of like Trek being live. You missed all of like sort of DS9. You missed all of like the 90s music, like crazy stuff like Harry Enfield and Friends.
You missed keeping up,
like,
keeping up appearances. And Father Ted. Oh,
like, and it's one of those weird things, and you just kind of go, so I've got the opposite, you know, where people just go, oh, music nowadays is rubbish, or, oh, you know, stuff like that. But it's more the opposite of it, of just not criticizing what people have nowadays, but going, I'm so sympathetic that you didn't get to experience this that we did, like such as possibly being able to afford a house.
breaking news! Breaking news
on
from
the
Mother
toys.
Breaking news from Mother Goodwill. You're welcome, Graham.
Hey, there we go. I'm always happy for an interruption from the Mother Goodwill.
Shall we spin? No,
Yeah,
no, we
go
won't.
on.
No. What do you want? No, no. In all seriousness, what do you want?
For my 40th birthday, I might have fixed it, Goodwill. You don't know this. Oh, but I actually, what do I want? I still kind of want that episode. Oh, damn it! I had in my head what episode I wanted, and it was a really good one. Oh. No, I've totally forgotten what episode I want, but I think I'd love let's have, because we haven't had a proper villain episode in quite a while, because Stubbs was very nuanced and whatnot. I would like a Wayoon episode. I want a very good Wayoon episode, because he is my favorite villain in all of Trek.
I love Wayoon. I absolutely love Wayoon. If I would argue, I would counter argue with that. With I want a Shran episode.
Ooh, yeah, no.
I want a Shran episode. I want a season 4 Shran episode. That's how specific I am. So I'm going for.
We had a Shran episode a couple of weeks ago. Though,
Shut your beautiful bloody face. I want Jeffrey Combs. Jeffrey Combs.
So do I.
So I
That's
want
the problem with it.
I want an Enterprise episode.
It's been a long road.
But I am not singing because no. So are we ready to spin the wheel?
Yeah, let's spin the wheel.
Okay.
Is everyone ready in the chat to yell Dabo?
You better be ready to yell
Tell your
Dabo.
dog.
You have to type Dabo, you have to yell Dabo, you have to open the windows of your house, yell Dabo, you have
Mama
to comment
Goodwill.
Dabo.
Mama Goodwill needs to yell Dabo.
Yes. So in 3, 2, oh god, the anxiety. 1. We are spinning
Maybe I
the
fixed it,
double
Goodwill.
wheel.
We'll never know.
Oh, double! Star Trek Voyager.
I saw Code of Honor at the end there.
I did, and my anus fell out. We are extreme risk, so let me get the episode up so I can get the synopsis. I've just put extreme up and that. No, that's me with Lee.
Extreme up, that's a different thing.
We are reviewing next week. So close. What, me or Lee?
Yeah,
All
exactly.
right, okay.
I love it that Beth's just like, not really a fan of Trek, not really watching it, but I want to see Code of Honor.
She wants us to
That is going to be
suffer.
the episode that Beth actually watches and joins in.
We are watching Star Trek Voyager, Season 5, Episode 3, Extreme Risk, and the synopsis is thus. The crew races to build a new shuttle designed by Tom Paris in order to retrieve a multi-spatial probe trapped inside a gas giant. Meanwhile, B'Elanna Torres' attitude worries the crew. It's the Delta Flyer episode!
That's great that we finally get the Delta Flyer.
The Delta
This is quite
Flyer.
pinnacle. And it's,
I can
while
use
I'm
a
not
new
fan
ship!
While I'm not a fan of Tom Paris, it's the fact of this is a very good Tom Paris episode.
I can use a new ship! Finally! The shelf of mild destitution can be populated by something different, and it's the worst ship I've got because it doesn't stay in its stand. Nevertheless, we Oh, we're going back to Voyager, baby! It's the theme of trekking up north that Adam sexily did. Well, he is a DILF. Sexily did. But it's
Oh,
Voyager.
yeah, he actually is a DILF.
He
I
is a
keep
DILF.
forgetting this.
He is a
Yeah.
DILF. He's a TILF as well. Or a
He's
TDILF.
a double D, a definite
He's-
DILF.
He's a TDILF. Tall dad I'd like to fluff. The
That's somehow worse than fuck, actually. But yeah,
first aired 28th of October 1998. 96 out of the 168 produced episodes of Voyager. 96 released out of 168. The 534th episode out of 916 episodes of Star Trek released so far.
bloody hell.
That is getting to One Piece levels of episodes. But this is a good episode. This we do get. I believe this is like a reuse of some generation shots as well. Deleted Star Trek Generations. Let me have a look. I just need to confirm this now because it's going to play in my head. Yes, it is. The concept. One of the concepts in this episode was deleted from Star Trek Generations. The intro for Star Trek Generations, yes. So find out next week what I am referring to when we review Extreme Risk. Computer, take us back to two-person mode.
I'll meet love.
I read. Look. Speaking of two persons, where's the Velvet Starch this week?
The Velvet Starch isn't with me. Velvet Starch is on my windowsill because I did an Instagram video. The Velvet Starch, by the way, is the potato decorated like my face that appeared in my song. Potato. Yeah, and basically what I did is I did an Instagram video of me planting them because I was thinking it'd be really fun if I sort of planted the potato and then grew it and then saw what happened with it. But a mate said that who's a gardener, basically said, "Oh, I need to leave it on the windowsill to," what was the word he used?
Make vodka.
No, it's like chit. So I need to leave it on the windowsill to chit for a bit, where basically it grows like tendrils out, and then you can plant it. Whereas if I just put it in the ground, it's less likely to grow.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he's on the windowsill downstairs at the minute. So hopefully he will.
That is so. If anyone's walking past Snatch's house, be sure to wave at the Velvet Starch on the window, who will most likely insult you as you go past.
People, well, one of the things I've had to do today is organize the merchandise that I'm going to be selling. Because what we're going to do is there's Velvet Snatch merchandise coming soon. You saw a bit of it on the video, but we're working out t-shirts at the moment. So I'm having to work out t-shirt designs, and there's two done. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a big pre-order window. So we're basically, it's because we need to order them in bulk to get like decent prices on them. But I don't want to go, I'll order 10 mediums. No one wanted mediums. What do I do with all these t-shirts that I've lost money on? So what we're going to do is have a pre-order window of a month where you can basically go, hey, everyone orders the t-shirts that they want, and then we just make them in bulk. And so no money's lost, all the money goes to charity. But it means that we can basically do lots of designs, and then the ones that no one buys, we don't need to make. But
Yeah.
2 people now have asked for Velvet Starch t-shirts or merchandise. So it might be that we actually have a t-shirt with a painted potato on it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Saying, oh, hello there, I'm the Velvet Starch. So if
Yes.
you are interested in that,
Yes.
let me know.
Yes.
I think it probably needs to be the Velvet Snatch, but with a line through Snatch and Starch scribbled in. Instead.
I want to use the Velvet Starch for Blackpool. I don't even want you there. I just want the potato on the screen. Or
Say
you
hello
under the
to my little
table.
friend.
You under the table just moving Velvet Starch. She's like, hello, you Blackpool bastards.
It would literally, it would talk like Sparehead 3 from Red Dwarf. Like, "Oh, bastard."
Oh,
That's how the Velvet Starch should be on stage.
I love it. Guys and gals, that has been our episode of Trekking Up North this week. I would like to thank the delectable Geesian Science Officer Synoiz for joining me. Thank you, you delectable goose.
All I know is chaos.
Good. Thank you to everyone who tuned in on the live chat. We love you all. Thank you to everyone who is watching this back. If you like Change of Heart, tell us what you liked about it in the comments below. If you liked this video, smack that like button. If you like Nerdy Up North, we are all over the place. All the descriptions of our socials are down below. Be sure to tune in this Sunday because, oh my God, they killed Kenny. Those bastards.
Oh.
Nerdy Up North is talking about South Park this Sunday, 8 p.m. BST on the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel, which is this channel right here. So be sure you are there if you are a fan of South Park.
And what have we got? What have we got on Monsters on Monday as well? We've got They're All Gonna Laugh at You, which is basically my favorite high school film, I think. You know, it's slightly less violent than The Breakfast Club, so I quite like it.
I thought The Breakfast Club was quite gory in certain places. Acid wash jeans.
It has the most horrible murder in all of cinema, which is where they basically get the goth girl and make her into a boring, prissy teen at the end, and you're like, "Hello, officer, I'd like to report a murder."
No one wants to transform a goth girls. Goth girls are perfect in every way.
Mm-hmm. Not Gothwill, though. She's a slag.
Okay. Kind of offended. So
I want to do the Bart Simpson thing of, hey, you can get the exact moment where his heart breaks, you know.
Until next week, Treks and Trekkers, guys and girls, stay safe, live long and prosper, and as always, on Trekking Up North.
Miles.
Miles? Miles?
Oh, there you are.